ever since 2019, when Jeffrey Epstein was found dead of an apparent suicide by hanging in his jail cell, there's been a lot of speculation about what exactly happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, the big joke meme online is that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, but there are serious questions as to whether Jeffrey Epstein actually killed himself, considering that he said previously that he was not going to kill himself, and then he apparently hanged himself in a jail that was supposed to be secure in the first place. But there have been a lot of questions surrounding Jeffrey Epstein for years, because Jeffrey Epstein hobnobbed with all the richest and most famous people on the planet, and nobody had any idea exactly where Jeffrey Epstein had gotten his money. And nobody knew why it was that Jeffrey Epstein, who was in serious trouble with the law in the mid-2000s, was still able to gather all sorts of attention and credibility from some of the richest and wealthiest people and most famous people on the planet. All those questions have been percolating in the background. So as early as 2019, 2020, there were serious questions about where exactly Jeffrey Epstein had gotten all of his money. There was talk about the idea that he had a 70-acre secluded island, that he had multiple homes all over the place, that he had supposedly amassed a fortune of 500 million pounds, which amounts to something like $700 million. And it is very unclear where exactly he made that money, because he was fired for poor performance in his early academic career. And then he ended up at Bear Stearns. And then he worked there as a trader and then a partner for a long time. But then he had breached security violations. And then he left his job. That was in 1981. And then he set up a consulting firm called Intercontinental Assets Group. And it is totally unclear where exactly the money came in. But suddenly he was worth, $500 million or more. And nobody knew where that money had come from. And if, again, you look at the timeline of Jeffrey Epstein's life, it is a very mysterious timeline. He started in the 1990s, this financial management firm, which included the CEO of Victoria's Secret as a client, according to CBS News. In the 2000s, he continued to invest tens of millions of dollars into various funds, including a fund that was found to be leveraged 17-1, and that helped to eventually lead Bear Stearns into collapse in 2008. In March 2005, a 14-year-old girl became the earliest underage victim to formally accuse Epstein of molestation, citing an incident at his Palm Beach mansion. It took 10 years, 2015, before investigators executed a search warrant on Epstein's Florida home as the case brought forward several other teenage sex victims. But in 2006, police were charging Epstein with multiple counts of unlawful sex acts in a minor. State Attorney Barry Krischer referred the case to a grand jury. The grand jury heard from only one accuser in June of 2006. In July 2006, after the Palm Beach grand jury, the FBI opened a federal investigation. In June of 2008, after more than a year of investigation and bargaining between the two legal sides, Epstein finally appeared in a Florida courtroom and ended up pleading guilty to one count of solicitation of prostitution and one count of solicitation of prostitution of a minor under the age of 18. He got an 18-month sentence, and he was registered as a sex offender. And then he began work release in jail as early as October of 2008. By July 2009, he was given early release from jail completely, and he never served time in a federal prison at all. At all. And then for years and years and years, he was hanging out with the most famous people on planet Earth. Jeffrey Epstein's little black book included names ranging from Bill Clinton to Donald Trump, just a huge number of very, very famous people who are hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And after his death, there were questions as to where the records went, what was in his black book, why did he know these people, and what was he doing for them? Were they paying him for something or other? Had he killed himself? Well, now we have a story that has emerged from the Wall Street Journal that really is shocking only in the sense that it's precisely what you expected. But the fact that it took this long for it to be uncovered is, in fact, rather surprising, and it serves as the foundation for the generalized theory that Jeffrey Epstein was essentially a blackmail specialist who must have had support of some sort of government, because the fact is that everyone apparently knew exactly what he was doing, and he escaped prosecution for a very, very long time. The reason I say this is because the story of what he did to Bill Gates here is truly an astonishing one. According to the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, Jeffrey Epstein discovered that Bill Gates had an affair with a Russian bridge player and later appeared to use his knowledge to threaten one of the world's richest men, according to people familiar with the matter. The Microsoft co-founder met the woman around 2010 when she was in her 20s. Epstein met her in 2013 and later paid for her to attend software coding school. In 2017, Epstein emailed Gates and asked to be reimbursed for the cost of the course, according to one of the people familiar with the matter. The email came after the convicted sex offender had struggled and failed to persuade Gates to participate in a multi-billion-dollar charitable fund Epstein tried to establish at J.P. Morgan Chase. The implication, was pretty clear, was that if Epstein did not get the money from Gates, then he would reveal the affair. So again, the idea here is that he uncovered an affair that Bill Gates had with this woman in early 2010s. And then Epstein later met her, found out about the story, and then paid for her college education, her software coding education, simply so he could then go to Bill Gates and shake him down. pretending that he was being reimbursed for that when in fact he was actually just being paid to shut down the blackmail. A spokeswoman for Gates said Mr. Gates met with Epstein solely for a philanthropic purpose. Having failed repeatedly to draw Mr. Gates beyond these matters, Epstein tried unsuccessfully to leverage a past relationship to threaten Mr. Gates. So that is Bill Gates acknowledging full well that Epstein was blackmailing him. Now again, this is not a giant shock because this is probably what Epstein was doing with pretty much anyone. He had these very, very lucrative relationships with some of the richest, most famous perverts on the planet. I mean, there's a reason that people are flying to and from Epstein Island, where he was pretty overtly trafficking in underage girls. Mila Antonova, the Russian bridge player in question, declined to comment on Gates and said she didn't know who Epstein was when they met. She said, I had no idea he was a criminal or had any ulterior motive. I just thought he was a successful businessman and wanted to help. She added, I'm disgusted with Epstein and what he did. But again, this demonstrates exactly how Epstein was operating. He met with everybody around Bill Gates, apparently. He gained access to Bill Gates. And then while he was working on this charitable fund with JP Morgan Chase, he finally met in 2013 with Gates and other Norwegian officials visiting Epstein's townhouse. Epstein told one former Gates Foundation employee that he knew these Norwegian officials and could help Gates win a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to eradicate polio, at which point Gates and Epstein met together in March in Strasbourg, France. That September, Epstein scheduled a meeting with Gates and others at his townhouse. Now again, so it looks like he would make a connection with somebody, and then he would dig up dirt on that person, and then he would blackmail that person. And this is not the only story that has emerged about Jeffrey Epstein over the course of the last couple of months alone. It emerged a little bit earlier this month that Jeffrey Epstein helped move $270,000 from Noam Chomsky, the wild left linguist. And he also paid $150,000 to Bard College president Leon Botstein, according to the Wall Street Journal. Apparently, he had financial dealings with the two academics. He had met with them multiple times as well. Now, again, we still do not have the entire list of what exactly Jeffrey Epstein was doing with all these people, but the baseline assumption has to be that if you had repeated contacts with Jeffrey Epstein over the course of years, there was a good shot that dude had dirt on you, and that he was shaking you down for money. Remember, at the exact same time that he was shaking Bill Gates down for money, Bill Gates was pretty openly saying that he was not being blackmailed by Epstein. In fact, here is Bill Gates saying just that.
Epstein had a way of sexually compromising people. Is that what Melinda was warning you about?
No. I mean, no, I had dinner with him, and that's all.
And that you regret the relationship, the acquaintance?
That I had dinner with him.
Mm. And the relationship between the foundation and Epstein, which
there never was any relationship of any kind.
Okay, so that is Bill Gates pretty much openly lying to journalists, saying I was never shaken down by Epstein. We were just the best of friends. The CEO of Innovation Refunds and GetRefunds.com has been on TV explaining how they've helped so many small businesses with their ERC tax refunds. They've completed thousands of returns for different kinds of businesses, including over $700 million for construction companies and over $200 million in restaurants, bars, and hotels. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star Trustpilot and Google reviews and is certified with the Better Business Bureau. In just 8 minutes, you can easily start the process on GetRefunds.com. You could be on your way to receiving up to $26,000 per employee. The ERC tax credit is not a loan. It's a refund of your already paid taxes designed to let the business owner direct the refund money into anything the business needs to grow. That's money you can use to actually improve your business however you see fit. So why would you leave money on the table when you don't have to? Go to getrefunds.com to start the process right now. There's no upfront charge. They don't get paid unless you get paid. Innovation Refunds has already helped clients claim over $5 billion in payroll tax refunds through the ERC. They may be able to help your business too. Go to getrefunds.com or download that app from the App Store today. That's getrefunds.com today. Again, if you paid too much money to the federal government, you can get that money back. Why not go get it right now? Go to getrefunds.com or download the app from the App Store today. That's getrefunds.com today. I have a brand new baby, and this as just another reason why I need life insurance. If you have dependents, you need life insurance. It is indeed that simple. A good life insurance plan can give you peace of mind that if something, God forbid, happens to you, your family will have a safety net to cover mortgage payments, college costs, or other expenses. Life insurance through your workplace may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. It won't follow you if you leave your job. Since life insurance typically gets more expensive as you age, you should have bought yesterday, but you should totally buy it today. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and find your lowest price. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies starting at just $25 per month for $1 million in coverage. Some options offer coverage in as little as a week and avoid those unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius's licensed agents work for you, not those insurance companies, which means they don't have an incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can actually trust their guidance. There are no added fees. Your personal information remains private. Your loved ones deserve a financial safety net, and you deserve a smarter way to find and buy it. Head over to policygenius.com/Shapiro or click the link in the description. Get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/Shapiro. Again, policygenius.com/Shapiro. Go check them out right now. Policygenius.com/Shapiro. This administration apparently also screwed up its estimate with regard to military aid to Ukraine. According to Reuters, the Pentagon overestimated the value of ammunition, missiles, and other equipment sent to Ukraine by about $3 billion, according to a Senate aid and defense official on Thursday. Why exactly would they say that? They would say that specifically because they wish to give $3 billion more to Ukraine. So what they're saying is, we estimated, say, that we gave $20 billion in aid to Ukraine. Actually, we were supposed to give 20 and we only gave 17, which means let's send them another $3 billion in aid. This is definitely one way of ending around Congress. It is something that does not appear to be perfectly clean. Here's Jake Sullivan trying to explain that one away.
There was this very bizarre admission from the Pentagon this week of an accounting error that suggested that the U.S. has at least $3 billion that it didn't know it had that it can use for Ukraine aid. That's a hell of an accounting error, and it provides a lot of fodder to critics of U.S. aid to Ukraine and critics who say there's not enough oversight going on. Are you concerned about this accounting error?
Well, one thing I just want to make clear, that is not money that went out the door and disappeared. That is not a waste of that $3 billion. It is simply a tally of how much military equipment we have given them.
Okay, well, I get it. I just don't understand why you think that makes it significantly better, that you're basically unilaterally devaluing the equipment that we gave to the Ukrainians so that you can sign another $3 billion check to the Ukrainians. And shouldn't that stuff go through Congress, at least a little bit? Meanwhile, this administration, by the way, continues to not bring home Paul Whelan. In the middle of the Ukraine-Russia war, Paul Whelan, the ex-Marine who has now been in custody over in Russia for a significant period of time, he was given a 16-year jail sentence in 2020. Whelan is speaking out now. He's like, I don't understand. Why did you guys bring home Brittany Griner Benami? What's the deal?
The last time he spoke with CNN's Jennifer Hansler by phone was in December, shortly after the release of WNBA star Brittany Griner, the result of a second prisoner swap between the U.S. and Russia that didn't include Whelan. Today, he fears the possibility of being left behind again, but his tone is more optimistic.
I'm more confident now. I feel that my life shouldn't be considered less valuable or important than others who have been previously traded. I have been told that although Evan's case is a priority, mine is also a priority.
Okay, but he is still sitting and waiting to actually be liberated. Meanwhile, Brittany Griner, she's back playing in the WNBA after we released the Merchant of Death to bring home a WNBA player. Again, very, very bad trade, and the only time anyone has ever cared about a WNBA trade. This has to be the clip of the day. Brittany Griner's coach was upset. Why? Well, because Brittany Griner played for the first time in a long time, and the game did not sell out. Why did it not sell out? Because it's a WNBA game. No WNBA game has ever sold out, so far as I'm aware. Here's Brittany Griner's coach trying to call out the fans.
It was great, but honestly, come on, LA. We didn't sell out the arena for BG. I expected more, to be honest, right? It was great, it was loud, but how was it not a sellout? How was it not a sellout?
Because no one cares about your sport? That would be the reason? Because no one wants to watch women's basketball? That'd be the reason. Also, I do enjoy, there's a point made by comedian Bill Burr, why is it that women are always complaining that men don't show up to WNBA games? When was the last time you heard a man complain not enough women were showing up to NBA games? And it turns out that, who likes men's basketball? Everybody, but especially men. Women constitute half the population, as Bill Burr points out, and yet they constitute 0 people going to the actual WNBA games. You guys want to pack the house? Go for it, man. You can watch ladies play fundamentally sound basketball that would get defeated by a fairly decent high school boys basketball team. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show continues right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the vaunted Ben Shapiro Show mailbag. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click that link in the description and join us.